Well, g'day Curd Nerds. You've noticed the studio many times before, and it was built way back in 2020, so it's about 3.5 years old. Now, you probably haven't seen it in its full glory or how it was built and why we built it. So let me take you on a little bit of a journey on how we built the studio and what we use it for now. So this is what the exterior of the studio looks like today, and there's Bonnie in the garden enjoying herself. But back in July 2020, on day one, this was the area, same view. It was the chook house that used to be there. It's cleared. There used to be a shed right down in the back corner, so that was cleared as well. And we had to get rid of all the weeds and plants and all that sort of stuff. So that was done way ahead of the time, before the builders came along. And what the builders are doing there, they're measuring out the plot, and they're going to be putting some anchors in on day two. These were called mega anchors, and what they were these 2-meter steel pipes that they put into a triangle shape, and they pound them into the ground. They have to do this because of the clay soil that we have here around in Melton. So once they were driven in, they put the main beams onto the mega anchors and screwed them all in place, or bolted them in place, and made sure they were all fit. And then they're going to start putting the braces across on day three. This was to put the floorboards on eventually. So to measure those all out to size, and they bolted all those on as well. Sterling effort by the two gents that built the studio. Put on the side rails so it all looks nice and tidy. This is all level, of course. Yeah, you look at the fence line and you can see that the fence is not level because the plot slopes away. Now this is a little bit blurry, unfortunately, but they've put the floorboards on. Started to put the prefab walls up, and they're putting on insulation on the outside, and then they're putting the corrugated iron, which is the external cladding, on the outside of the prefab. And you'll notice that the prefab will go up in a second once they put it all up on there. They've cut the window holes out, and now they're starting to put those up. Now they asked me to give them a hand to put one of the pieces up, so I'm in there somewhere. But you can see the walls have been stacked up, and they're braced with some steel bracing onto the floor just to keep them upright. The back windows obviously have been put in as well, because you can't reach from the neighbour's side to put the windows in. So here's a bit of a drone footage that I took just to show what the interior looks like, and then a footage up above the structure. You can see they've got the floor in as well. And there it is next to our pool and the little pool shed, which we moved, and you'll see that later in the video as well. But that's the footprint of the plot. It's 10 metres long by 4 metres wide. So to build the structure, we needed a building permit, and that was obtained. And there's the wall facing the swimming pool. You notice that the windows haven't been cut out yet, so that all happens in day 6, I believe. So they're putting up the walls facing us now, just putting the cladding on, the corrugated iron, putting some supporting beams in, and the beams across the back. Putting all the trim up, just to make it look nice. Then they're starting on the roof. Now I wish I had got some drone footage of this, but they're putting the roofing up. It's just a single piece of roof, and they're all tied in together. So the roof pieces slot in together, and they're fully insulated. And that's all secured on. So on day 7, it was just some general tidy up, flashing at the front, cut the windows out of the building. You can see they've done that there. Ready for the glass to arrive and to insert in. So they're just putting the finishing touches also on the roof trim. and a whole bunch of other little fiddly jobs. There's the windows go in there on the front facing part of it, and the big glass window, and I think they get the door in. Let's have a look. No, not today. So on day 8, it is still putting some finishing touches. It's raining as well, but they managed to, because the roof's on and everything, they could get on with it, but they started tracking mud into the house. There's the door frame. The glass of the double glazed window door is there. So that's absolutely fantastic. Day 10, basically the decking was all done as well, as you can see there. And the sun came out finally to dry all the mud out. Good looking structure so far. Then about a week later, the electricians have been, and they put the wiring through before the plasterers have come. You can see all the wiring there. They said they didn't need to mark anything. They'd figure it all out with some instruments they've got where to pull it all through the plasterboard once that's put on. And you can see that all the wiring, even wiring there for and tubing for the air conditioner is on that wall there as well. So they put the wiring in for the back room as well. We've got power points out there. So it's a very neat job, which is good. And you can see the wiring goes through to the back as well. We actually asked them to put a power point on the other side of the rear wall for the pool pump, because we're going to move that later on, which we did. So that's all wired in as well. And lots of power points in the storage room, and lots of power points in the main room itself. It never ceases to amaze me how big this studio looked when it was just its bare bones. But I'm glad I took photos of all the wiring. Now they also ran data cables for us, which connect to my main router inside the house. They also had to put a little inspection thing in the floor because they'd made a mistake and had to fix that up. Anyway, about day 35, the plasterers turned up and put all the gyprock or a rock wall or whatever you want to call it. That's all put in. There was insulation put in first, of course. We put rock wool in, which is a good eco-friendly type of insulation made from sheep's wool. So that's all in there to keep the studio nice and warm in winter and cool in summer. So all the plastering's been done. The floor is an absolute mess. Kim and I had to go around with scrapers to scrape off the big lumps of plaster they left behind, and to get all the stuff they left behind out into a skip we hired to get rid of all the rubbish. So that's all done, and that needed to be sanded and painted after the electricians had been. So electricians were coming back again, and they decided to put all the power points and stuff, everything we would needed before the painting happened. So that's the electricians have been, they put the lights in, and we got some handyman friends of ours to paint the studio. So that's all painted now. As you can see, the floor's not down yet. We've still got the bare floorboards. We had to scrape all those off, all the mud and the plaster and all that sort of stuff. But we waited until the very end. The deck got a little step by regulation. We had to have a proper step in there. So we got that fitted. And then we got some floating floorboards. This is a eucalypt, dark eucalypt floating floorboards. They're just all clicking together. We got that installed, and there's Holly and Teddy, bless them. They've both passed away now. And we've got Bonnie and Hamish. And then Kim put some artwork up. That's her original artwork that she's done. Put that up there. That looks very nice. I love all of Kim's little finishing touches, and you'll see that in the big reveal. And then there's the air conditioner fully fitted with a frame around it because there was gaping holes in the plasterboard. So we've got our handyman friends to fix that up for us, and that looks really nice. So we started putting in the furniture about day 53. So we got some do-it-yourself kits as far as tables went. So we just put some benches in there. So they were going to be our workspaces. And then again out the back, and we put some racks up. So we built some racks. So the racks are all for storage of flowers and materials that we sell other than cheese making stuff. So we've got those in there. We've got our freezer there, which is that's for storing in starter cultures, stuff like that. Some more storage cupboards we had left inside. We decided to move out here as well. So reuse of a lot of stuff. Then on day 75, we got some kitchen benches. So these are basically work benches for us to do refills of products and things like that. Even got a wine rack for Wine Time Friday, so that's pretty cool. That's mainly stocked. And we've got a nice drawers for storage. It's a lot of storage there, which is great for all the stuff we sell at littlegreenworkshops.com.au. So very proud of how it all turned out so far. So fast forward to today, or January 2024, and we have fully landscaped the outside of the studio. It looks absolutely amazing. We put a lot of plants in, a lot of pots, some tables, and we just treat it. That side of the garden is basically what I call our beer garden. But there's the front entrance. You can see that we've painted it all, made sure that it's all the wood's lovely and stained. I think that's cedar. And then you can see all of the windows, and the plants have all grown around it in the 4 years or 3.5 years since we've had it built. And you can see there, that's the paved area now we have, instead of all that muddy quagmire that used to be there. And that's what I call our beer garden. So a lovely little space to relax in any time of the year except when it's bucketing down with rain. The studio really has enhanced the look and feel of our backyard. So there's our table we sit at, and round the corner we used to have a pool pump just there, if you saw it in the aerial shot. And we got our pool man, good looking pool, and that's all landscaped as well. That was done years ago, but yeah, it's still pretty good. The pool's very functional. It's very clean. Well, not there, it isn't, but it is clean. We moved the pool pump around to the back. There's the air conditioner condenser unit there. Nice little sitting area. And there's the pool pump in there, right at the back in a soundproof box, so our neighbours don't hear the pool pump if we're running it at night time. So it does dampen a lot of the sound. There's the back window looking into the stock room. And there's my little friends following me everywhere. Now, Bonnie and Hamish actually have their own channel, did you know? It's called Hamish and Bonnie the Westies. And you can see it on YouTube. I'll leave a link down below. So that's the windows for my computer, and that's the windows for Kim's desk. And this is just a lovely little entertaining area and relaxing area. Anyway, back into the main part of the studio. So you can see my clay oven there, just briefly. That has a separate video on this channel as well. So into the studio, and one of the first things you see when you open the sliding door is this lovely bit of wall art there. Very cool. Open up the sliding door, and you can see the first thing is Kim's art desk. So we managed to move that from the lounge room and pop that in there. She does all her arty creations and illustrations and all that sort of stuff there. Then over to the other side is our tea and coffee area. This is for the workers when we're working diligently, editing videos or refilling stock or what have you, and some of Kim's decoration touches there, which is lovely. And of course a rubbish bin, which gets emptied every week. And a little fridge for drinks and milk and all that sort of stuff. And a microwave for melting waxes and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, moving down the side, and this kind of looks familiar to some people who watch the channel, and you'll see this is part of the set for Little Green Workshops and for all the cheese videos. And if I move back a little bit, you can see that this is what you normally see when I do a talking head video. There you go, there's the center console that I do all the taste tests on and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, that's the view you get. And I'll show you the camera we do that on when we get into the in-depth part of the studio tour. Then moving along, we have the filling station. So we've got a impact sealer there, we've got a scale which has been properly calibrated, we've got all the little bags, and that's where we fill up things like flowers and bath bomb ingredients and all the stuff that's in Kim's storeroom / junk room at the back there. So for storage of some of the cheese stuff, we've got molds and kits and stuff on these shelves here, and they all hang out and are part of the props for my live streaming / editing setup as well. You can see there's the set there that you'll see normally, and I'll show you a little bit of that in a second. There's my very comfortable chair that I'm sitting in right now, and there is my streaming / editing setup. It's very functional as far as streaming goes, and I'll take you into all the bits. That's what you normally see when you see a live stream. That's the reverse view, of course, but there it is with my massive pimped out PC, ultra wide screen. And let's have a look at some of the components, shall we? Now, this is not sponsored, but I'll put links in the video description below. So just move that mic out of the way. Now, the main streaming camera I'm using is the Sony A6400 camera, and I got this because of the autofocus is just exceptional. So I use this as a webcam. Basically, it's a streaming device. I plug it into the mixer, which I'll show you in a second, which has all of the inputs, and there it is there. There's the AV Matrix mixer that I use. I can have 4 HDMI inputs into it, plus audio tracks as well can go into it, and that's what I cut my live stream with, or change the scenes with, if I'm changing cameras. Now, there is a lens on this. This is a very special lens. It's a Sigma autofocus 16mm f1.4, specifically for the Sony camera, and that gives me that really wide field of view for live streaming and close-up shots, which is really good. Now, the control center for the software that I use the Stream Deck. And this Stream Deck is a newer version. It's got some knobs for lights and controls all of the lighting that you'll see in a second. Also, I can control the volume of the stream. Now, the keyboard that I'm using is a Logic keyboard, and it's designed for Adobe Premiere Pro. You notice all the colored keys there. That has shortcuts for when I'm editing, and it is one of the most useful tools that I bought for this entire setup. So it makes editing so much easier. You'll also notice the monitor is just sticks out like a sore thumb. Fantastic for editing and sometimes for gaming. It is a Philips Brilliance 499p. I don't know if they're obsolete, but they are very good monitors. Great color accuracy as well. Got a little Alexa show there. And you can see that I have just charging there are my wireless Go 2 microphone. These are wireless microphones. I put the receiver onto the camera and the 2 transmitters I use around the studio for recording my voice, like this. So the PC itself is a custom built AMD Ryzen 7 3800X 8-core processor with an AMD Radeon graphics card in there. It's got enough grunt to process all the videos. I've got a 2.5 gigabit per second switch, and there is an Elgato capture card there which takes the output of the AV Matrix and puts it into the computer via USB, so I can control it via the streaming software OBS. And there's the Rode Video Mic Go 2, which I'm using for this voiceover, which has not only 3.5mm output, but also USB. And I'm actually using the USB now for the recording. Great little microphone, and it is really clear. So the lights that I'm using are the Elgato Key Light Studio. They're an LED panel that has been diffused, and I've got one either side of me when I'm streaming, so it gives me a nice light there
You can see there's the second one there, and that's all mounted on a single pole tripod type thing that's bolted to the desk. And there's some lovely artwork in the studio. Kim bought that for me, and you can see this one's from David. He sent it to me. It's a picture of Wallace and Gromit with a piece of his Wensleydale made from my recipe on his knee. It's a great photo, and Kim framed it for me. There we go. That's the computer or streaming / editing setup. It's a very interesting. Now, there is another main camera, which you'll see in a minute, that I do the primary stuff. But that's where Bonnie sits. She is always sitting down there, which is fabulous. And Hamish just sits in the cheesy chair of wisdom. So we have wireless out in the studio as well. This is the Asus RT-AC67U router. I have another one that's inside in the office, and this is one of the routers that give us a very good reception out here for all the devices that we use. So it is in a mesh formation, so I can get wireless everywhere. Now this is the main camera that I use. It is a Panasonic Lumix G9, the first version. Autofocus, not that good, but manual focus is beautiful, and it has some great images. And this is what I show when I'm doing all of the taste tests of the main camera video that I do stand up talking to. And it's on a Manfrotto tripod there. Now moving right along, there is the LED panels that I use, not only in the kitchen, they're just portable. They're not diffuse, well, they've got a diffuser in front of them, but they work very well, and they got batteries, so they're fine. And we got the air conditioner there and a great big decal on the wall, which is very cool. Then we move along the desk. This is Kim's little work area. She's got a laptop there, Dell laptop, which is highly spec'd, and it helps her. And if I need to edit on the road, then I use that. That's her little area there, very nice, with a sparkly bottle. Cheesy chair of wisdom, and then back, of course, to Kim's art desk, and a doggo standing outside. I don't know how. They're just sitting there, standing there waiting for me to open the door. Anyway, there is the main room once again, and we think it is fitted out just perfectly for us. So back to Gav for some final commentary.
So after all that, was the studio build worth it? Well, I definitely think it was. It was worth the money. The initial outlay was about 67,000 Australian dollars, which is quite a bit. So it is an amazing space. It's not deemed livable. It's deemed by the permit as a shed. And I'll say it's a fairly pimped out shed, for want of a better word. It is a highly enjoyable space to record not only YouTube videos, to do refills, stock refills for the other part of the business, the soap making and candle making and bath bomb part of the business. It is just a pleasurable place to edit videos in. It's got air conditioning. It has no plumbing, and that's one of the reasons why it's still deemed as a shed. But it is a great looking building as far as I'm concerned, and very practical. So if you can afford it and your small business is doing well enough that you can afford to pay for a space like this, I highly recommend it. I just wish there was some opportunity to put a sink out here with running hot and cold water. That would make cheese making a breeze. I wouldn't have to do that part in the kitchen, and you see that filmed all the time. I have to lug all of my filmmaking equipment back into the kitchen to film that part of the cheese making video, but I do all the intros and outros here. So definitely well worth the money. Now, if you enjoyed this video, leave a comment down below. I'd like to know if you're interested in this sort of thing. I know this is purely a cheese channel, but I thought it was time to do a little behind the scenes studio build and studio tour with all the gear that we use here. So don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this, or just the cheesy content, which is the channel's main focus, then please do so. And don't forget that you can join the channel and be a paid member and get early access to videos like this one or all the cheese making tutorials. Well, thanks for watching, Curd Nerds, and I'll see you next time.